This is the Bar Steward's Enquiry.
Right? You're talking absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish.
In what way?
You were an underachiever in life. I saved your bacon one time. You were gone.
You handled that well. I couldn't save you. But you did the right thing.
But that's why you don't know anything about racing, John.
I didn't say I do.
Right?
I'm saying that...
What have you contributed to racing? You're one of these take-out merchants. Take out all you can.
And a huge warm welcome to the Bar Steward's Enquiry Goodwood and Galway podcast. My name's Lee Keys of systembet.co.uk, and joining me on this show is we've got John Lang. Good evening, John. We're going to look at Galway first, and joining me for this part, we've managed to dig her up. We've got hold of her. It's Cathryn Fry. She's back.
Managed to, dig me up, get me out of the cellar, whatever.
Yeah. So for all you Cathryn Fry fanboys, this should be a treat to feast your eyes on the Galway gems. That
you know that's just me, don't you, doing it from like burner accounts? You know, like this shite on Twitter of these women that are actually men. Like what the fuck? Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a cracking show, this one, and we've got plenty of good stuff for Goodwood. But first of all, this is why we have to get Cathryn on, because me and John know. What do we know about Irish racing, John?
Well, as much as we know about English racing.
And after Saturday's exploits, well, from me, I was just dreadful. We'll come on to that maybe another time. But yeah, we need a good week. We need a good Goodwood, and we need a good Galway. So I want Fry to come up with some really good stuff, because I can remember, was it last year, Cathryn? You come up with some right gems. There was one that was like 80 or 90 to 1.
Yeah, and it got backed, didn't it? Right at the off 16 to 1, Born by the Sea. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
That one.
You love this Irish Gypsy Fair, don't you? You absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Right. Where do you want to take me first? Obviously, forward to sort of nothing. Have you got nothing Tuesday?
I haven't got anything for Tuesday. What I have done, Lee, is obviously there are so many that are doubly, triply, quadruply entered up at the moment. There's some few interesting form lines as well that tie in with each other. Obviously, by the time that people listen to this, we would have known if Willie's won the big QR on Monday with a lot of joy. So I hear that the next stop after maybe two outings at Galway is going to be the Ebor. So you wouldn't put it past Willie and the Jungle Juice to pull that off, would you really?
No.
Though I was really interested in a horse for the Galway hurdle, but that particular horse has been declared for the 5:10 on Monday. I think if he runs in that in absolute certainty, that's HMS Seahorse. Again, if he ran in the Galway hurdle on Thursday, I'd be really interested in him in there as well. If we start with the plate, I think there's a couple here that are possibly being overlooked. Bustleton, my old friend Bustleton, we know he was buried in Grade 1s last year, absolutely buried in them. Remember myself and Declan, we were rubbing our hands with glee that he was going to run in the plate at the festival.
Yeah.
Only to see then that because of the crap turnout in the Turners, he ran there and did obviously pick up second at 50 to 1. Fair enough, you can't blame them. But he was one of my naps of the meeting to win the plate. But he turns up in the Galway plate on Wednesday. And I think what's quite interesting about him is obviously the Galway plate is a real rough race. There's no hiding place. It's a sharp track. They're on the turn all the time. But what I like about Bustleton is for his age, he's quite battle hardened already. He must have run about 2,000 times.
It's weird, isn't it? Just looked at his age and he's 5.
I know, yeah.
He's like a 10-year-old.
He is. He's very battle hardened already, and I think that he would have a right chance if he turn up in this. I think, considering he can equip himself rather in Grade 1 company. I don't think he's not at the sort of very peak of his peers in Grade 1 company, but this should be right up his street. And I do fancy Bustleton, I have to admit, and I see he is about 10 to 1, so I definitely fancy that. Another horse that I quite like the look of in the plate is Bazio. Ran an absolute blinder in the Topham. One thing I like about this horse is the way he jumps. He jumps brilliantly. He's got great form in big handicaps, form in the big chase handicap at the Dublin Racing Festival. He was placed, obviously the Topham. I think he was placed also in the Dan Moor at Fairy House. So again, the rough and tumble of this race isn't going to bother him too much. If there was any rain at all, and weird things can happen in Ireland with the rain. I've never seen rain like that in any other country apart from Ireland. I'd be really interested in Castlegrave's Paddy. I know a horse that we've talked about extensively before, but you've got a proven Grade 1 performer that's running Queen Mothers, and for him to be in this. And to be on an all right enough mark as well. If there was any rain, I would fancy that. But I think with the going as it is at the moment, my main two would be Bustleton and Batsio. I think Batsio is around 16-1.
Yeah, you love a grey shithouse, don't you?
Yeah. But I think that he's only a shithouse when he needs to be.
Yeah, he's. I mean, there'll be people that listen to this say, "What on earth is he on about?" It's won 5 times. The man's a nutter. Get him off, and they'd be right. But I've backed this grey before, and I can remember one. It broke my heart. It broke it badly. It was at Boxing Day. When everyone's struggling on Boxing Day, you're doing your bollocks. It was in 2019. It was second to Drum Connor Lad. And it must have gone 1.0 something in run. And I thought I was swearing on Boxing Day as well. Terrible from me at a holy time of year. And I was effing and jeffing at the lovely grey. But yes, you're right. He does win. He does. He does.
And he's a great jumper.
He is. I think that's what I like about him. I've liked about his career because he definitely makes the right shape over his fences, and his technique's really good. I wonder if there's like a bit of boredom that creeps in sometimes with him, because, like you say, he enjoyed the national fences.
Yeah, he did. Peach, though, I thought he was absolutely brilliant on him, I have to say. I know they didn't win, but I thought if you wanted sort of, and the winner as well, the Bowen horse that beat them, I thought if you want to watch two horses that really enjoy jumping Aintree fences, like, you should watch the Topham. It was lovely to watch.
Yeah, if he gets in a nice position, nice early rhythm, and popping away, then he could be dangerous. Because I always say them quick fences, down the bottom before turning for home, it makes or breaks the race. And
it's a bizarre track. Have you ever been to Galway?
I've never been. I've wanted to go, but I've never been. God,
it was like 11 years ago now. And I was sort of expecting a picturesque Irish track. Find it's in the middle of like an industrial estate, and it's such a weird track because it's almost triangular with like twists, and it just turns the whole time. And there's not a lot of room out there.
Yeah.
I think it's sort of Worcester like a triangle, but a bit bigger.
Yeah, I tend, because that me and John are predominantly flat. So, but what I tend to look at for Galway later in the week is when the ground's a bit more chewed up. And on the rail, obviously, I know they keep moving the rail, but the inside obviously keeps getting battered. And I always think towards the end of the week, it starts to become wide form, where you need to be like coming as wide as possible, turning for home. It seems to be better ground towards the stand side by then. So that's something I've picked up over the years, but that's probably common knowledge to most Galway folk, I would think.
Is John still with us? Has he fallen asleep?
He's fell back asleep. He's been on Nest last night, John. You enjoyed it, didn't you?
Certainly did.
Good night, John, was it?
Oysters.
Yes.
Was it like Del Boy? Did you take her for a nice steak meal?
It was like an episode of All Our Yesterdays. It's that long since I did since I did the big jiggy.
Poor John. Tired for this show.
Tired, yeah. But it's a good type of tired. It's about, let me go back through the mists of time here and try and remember. It's a good sort of tired, isn't it, John?
No, not really.
Talking about man, you've been on the job all night and it's not a good sort of tired.
There was a point last night I thought I was losing the use of my legs.
How many previews?
It was leaving just to carry on.
You just got to you got the old rider's cramp, did you, John?
Describe it as cramp.
Fucking hell.
I think it's a lack of muscle memory, Cathryn.
Tell me about it, John. You know what I'm saying? I mean, at this point, I'm not anything sexual apart from asexual. Like, there's absolutely nothing going on in my life.
There's just you and Cathryn Fry in that camp, isn't there?
Well, I'm at the age myself. I'd sooner prefer a good dinner, to be honest. But
But you're saying this in front of your wife, who's the.
I know she's giving me the daggers.
If you get a plate of oysters, I mean that's.
Well, that's what might be needed.
Yeah, the only issue I had with the oysters, one of them hadn't been properly shucked, I think is the word. When you raise it to your mouth and expect it just to fall from the shell into your gob, and it doesn't, and you have to go fishing for it with your tongue while you're holding the shell up.
We're still talking about the meal here, John.
I'm going to say I've two separate visions. I have two visions going on here.
It reminds me for the best, one of the best bits of advice I ever had in life. When you're performing that particular act, shall we say. So long ago when I was a mere stripling, stick your tongue out as far as it will go and lip sync the words to Mull of Kintyre and you can't go wrong. Believe it.
Who's actually trying to do that now?
Exactly.
All our listeners now sat at home like that.
I'm doing it. Anyway.
This is descending into chaos, as always, like our good old shows, Cathryn. We had many a laugh. We'll get back to business. We'll put it on YouTube. Skip this bit if you really...
Yeah.
Skip this bit unless you need advice on this particular topic.
If you're easily offended on sexual matters. Please.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, right, what else you got?
Basically, you know that I love an Irish QR flat rate.
You do.
You just know that, don't you?
Yeah.
There's a piece of form. There was a race at Roscommon, okay, where Busselton won a flat maiden. Thousand Tears was second, was subsequently bought by Paul Byrne to go with Emmett Mullins. And in third was a horse called Plains Indian. Now, Busselton obviously runs in the plate, as we've talked about him. Thousand Years, I really fancy to win the QR on Wednesday. And the other horse, Plains Indian, is also in that QR. He's also in the Guinness Novice Hurdle on the Thursday.
He's also entered Tuesday. I've not.
Yeah, he's entered it with the listed novice on Tuesday. So wherever Plains Indian ends up, I will be interested in him as well, because that is I love watching sort of bits and pieces of Irish form over the summer that I've just got high. We're heading to Galway all over them. So I did like that particular race with an eye on Galway, and I think that all three, if they all run and all turn up, obviously they both can't win the same race, but hopefully Plains Indian will go to one of the hurdle races rather than the QR. I think that they would all have a chance of winning.
Do you think that race the other day then at Roscommon, where he was behind Busselton, do you think that was a bit of a float up?
Plains Indian.
Yeah.
Because
he had quite a bit of ground to make up, and
yeah. Thousand Tears was then snapped up as well. And we know what happens in when they go into those colours and they go to Emmett Mullins as well.
Yeah.
It's what's quite strange about that. I mean, he was I think he was 50-1, wasn't he? Like behind Busselton, Thousand Tears, and he'd been running for that stable. God, I can't remember their name. I'm gonna have to look it up. He'd been running for that stable for quite a long time. He'd been with them since sort of starting his career, the Burke stable, and he's a 7-year-old. Paul Byrne swooped in to buy him. He's had another run at Ballinrobe since then, beaten into third. You know when something's just got a bit of a beacon on it.
Yeah,
I've got a feeling in my water anyway. He'd been with John Burt since the start of his career, and then he's a 7-year-old. Which I don't know. It seems to me that they've snapped him up, and he's going to sort of be a bit like the Shunter. Do you remember when his rating just went up and up and up and up?
Yeah. Speaking of the Shunter, that's what they've hammered that in the play, haven't they?
It's just jumping, because there's no hiding places on those fences. Do you remember that race that he could have won at Aintree?
I'm certain Emmett had the proper carrots then. I've never seen an horse do that and nearly win a Grade 1. It must have hit 7 fences.
it must have had the turbo carrots that day.
Oh,
But the shunter over hurdles, no, probably he just, and especially those fences at Galway. I would be with him if it wasn't for his blunders over fences. It's painful, and I don't know how he's still alive, to be honest. The way he goes through them, but yeah, I just think it's really interesting. If this horse was like a sort of a 4 or 5 year old, yeah, but he's been on the go since January 19 for the Berks, and then he gets bought as a 7-year-old by Paul Byrne. I think that there's going to be a sort of there's going to sort of be a very sort of quick few races that he's going to win, and you're going to see his rating go right up. Then what happens, I don't know, but yeah, if anybody wants to go back and look at that race at Roscommon on the 28th of June, it's worth having a look at. On to the Galway hurdle. You still there, John? You nodded off again.
Fascination with all this.
So this one's quite interesting because you've got so many that are so Echoes in Rain. It runs in the QR on Monday, as does Lot of Joy, of course, and they're both in here, and as does HMS Seahorse, who runs on Monday. So if I just sort of leave all of those out of the equation, Crowns Major is another one as well. That's in the QR. That's the one of Emmett's that we backed last year at Galway. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
If I'm going to sort of be looking at the hurdle, taking all those out, I don't think it's that strong a race. 2, possibly 3 stand out to me at this stage. I like Far Out. If the real sort of Far Out comes back to a bit of form, he's certainly all right around course and distance. He won the Guinness novice hurdle Galway last year. Again, what I find absolutely fascinating here is that Ballyadam goes in it. If we were talking maybe this time last year about Ballyadam going in this, we'd be all over him. But, you know, something has quite obviously happened to that horse. If the real Ballyadam was to stand up, you'd be very interested, wouldn't you? I'm not too sure where my money is going to go at this stage.
Because of the entries, etc.
Because of the entries. There is the mare of Dermot McLaughlin's that I quite like, Santa Rosa. She won the Grimes, and that also ties in with Sole Pretender, who runs in the Grade 3 chase on Thursday. Now, he's trained by Norman Lee, who is a Galway trainer. And I think he's just your pure model of consistency. Loves this type of ground, loves this time of year. And he's second in the Grimes. He's had 2 sort of fairly facile chase wins before that. I'd make him almost a certainty for, maybe not a blogger type certainty, but a certainty in my own weird world of certainties for the Grade 3 chase on Thursday. And that Santa Rosa winning the Grimes hurdle, I think that she gets a great chance in here. Depending what happens with all the other entries, I think I will definitely be having a little bit on Santa Rosa, but Far Out and Ballyadam still do catch the eye. I think there's a couple along the week that are quite interesting. High Stranger, John Keeley, he's got a few entries as well. All Class, Crowns Major, wherever he runs. It's quite annoying, really, because I wanted to sort of cover the Blazers as well on Friday, which is the race we won last year with Born by the Sea. But those entries haven't come out yet. But what I will do is, if I really fancy something in that, Lee, is I will whack it on the Bar Steward website.
Excellent stuff. Yeah, I mean, just send it me and I'll type up the copy and I'll put it on our Twitter. So folks, don't miss that, because obviously Fry is very dangerous at meetings like this, as we've seen before. I think Andy Richmond commented last go with amazed at your massive price selections that seem to be either just going ridiculously close at monster prices and going short in running. Everyone needs to listen to Fry this week. So if Fry comes back on, I shall let you all know. So thank you very much, Cathryn, for sharing your pearls of wisdom with us from the Emerald Isle.
And we come on to the second part of the show. Obviously, I've got rid of Fry. And joining myself and John at the moment is Andy Richmond and Quentin Franks. Good evening, chaps.
Good evening, Lee.
Good evening. Let's see if we can make this a meeting to remember. Always like a good wood, I do. So I'm hoping we've got some gems, because I often like to hear your thoughts as well with my own. It helps me along the way, and hopefully we can get some winners, much needed winners. I'm not speaking to you, Andy, because regards to your efforts this summer, because you are pissing all over us in terms of profits and winners. So
I just want the jump season to start.
You keep saying that. You're better on the flat. Anyway, Right, we're going to get straight on with it. Best bets time. So this is the best bets for the week. We'll feel we've got for you, and I'm going to start with John. First of all, John, give me your third best, please.
My third best runs tomorrow in the Vintage Stakes, the Group 2. And a lot of people might be expecting me to go for Holloway Boy here, but I'm not. I think this is an entirely different test to what he faced in the Cheshire. I'm not absolutely certain the track will sell. And I think he's worth taking on at the price. And the one I'm taking him on with, unbelievably, is Dear My Friend, trained by the Kilt and the Quilt.
Oh, good God.
Oh,
Yeah, I think this is a horse of some potential at the moment. Obviously, that potential will be eroded as the season goes on. But I think now is probably the time to plough with this one. Started off at Carlisle. The trip was probably a little bit on the short side, but he showed a good attitude to get up there towards the finish. He was well on top at the finish. And then he had a little more than an exercise canter at Beverley last time, where he showed a strikingly good propensity for running down a hill on overwatered ground, which I am taking into account for the first day here. I think the watering situation here could be quite significant. This is bi-pivotal as well, so I'm fully expecting the Clemmies to be flying on the first day. I think that will also suit this boy, whereas the fast ground at Ascot very much suited the favourite Holloway Boy, and I think this goes into this race with a right chance.
Good stuff. I mean,
6 to 1.
Yeah, 1 point win, 6 to 1, available with a few firms. Obviously, I don't know if I'm more surprised. I'm definitely more surprised that you're tipping the Kilt, because I know you hate him, and I just do. So I know what pain you're going through. It might be a tip in itself, that, folks, if John's tipping a Kilt horse.
Yeah.
If he's not running around Beverley of a 7.5 with SDS on, John's not usually bothered about the Kilt at all. So it could be a tip in itself. I am a bit surprised because, like I said, I know how much you like this in the paddock, the Burke horse. So it's interesting. You think the track's against that one, John?
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised he's running here. I thought he'd have kept this for the Acom myself, but you know, he's decided to go here. They'll probably like a big meeting and a good piss up these people that own this.
Yeah.
Well,
fair.
owns a bit of it, doesn't she? We know she likes a piss up.
Yeah, that's true. Right, okay. Andy Richmond, coming to you for your third best, please.
right. I'm going to go for a bit of well, it's not a strange one. It's a bit later in the week, so I'm taking a bit of a flyer here. In fact, they're all a bit later in the week because I really didn't like the two cards that we've got already, the Tuesday and the Wednesday cards. I couldn't really find an awful lot on there. So I'm going to go with a 2-year-old in a nursery, which is very unusual for me, but a horse called Swift Asset, who last ran in the Super Sprint, and I think he ran a lot better. He was one of the Hannon Quintet that ran in that race, in a race that they've had a lot of success in over the years. And I think he did best of the stable's quintet of runners, running from stall 1, which was never likely to see him to best advantage, because stall 1 to 9 in that particular race have got an awful record. This time around, the first 6 home were drawn 27, 17, 8, 4 and 1, which I've adjusted for a non-runner. But I do wish, so I'm going to slightly digress here, I do wish the Racing Post and Timeform would adjust their results for non-runners. Otherwise, you get a complete load of old rubbish when you're looking at draw biases. Yeah. They should really do that. Anyhow, that's a slight digression. Swift Asset, certainly disadvantaged by his draw. He was taken to the race right on the far side. If you watch the race, only 2 of them raced over there. The other one was Agostino, who finished second last. He did hang across to join the leaders in the centre of the track in the closing stages, but he was still on the periphery of the action. If you remember the race was won right up the stand side rails. And I just think he had hardly an ideal trip from a less than ideal draw. history, track position, certainly against him, taking all of that into consideration, plus the fact he was giving weight to all that beat him. This was a more than creditable effort. I think his best chance, I wrote this a while ago, is on the best chances of making impression Nursery and Company. I expect that's where he'll be next. Mr. Hannon has got a pretty good record in most of the nurseries at Goodwood. In fact, he's got a good record at the meeting overall. So if Swift Asset rocks up in the 4:45 on Friday, which I think is his only engagement, then I should certainly be having a very, very modest, because I'm not sure of the draw. I'm going to bottle out and just go half a point each way. But I think he'll probably give you a decent run for your money if he turns up based on that Newbury run.
Okay, half point each way. We'll give you the best price.
God knows there's nothing around at the moment.
The thieving Fantasy Island action the night before.
Exactly, yeah.
With Denise, hopefully.
Yeah. If he rocks up, that is.
Yeah. Interesting though. They have got this in the Richmond, Andy. But
yeah, I noticed they had that in there as well. I'm not sure I want to. It's in my race. Yeah. I'm not sure if I'd want to back it up. If he does rock up there, I wouldn't put it up for this. But personally, I would have a couple of shekels on him. But for the purposes of tipping, I'd only really want to back him in the in this nursery, because I think that's where he's next. I actually think he's quite nicely weighted at the moment. He's got quite a nice mark at the moment.
Not a bad mark on 86. I agree with you there, Andy.
Just based on that, if you go back and watch that super sprint run, it's in the context of where he raced and what he did and weight he gave away. It was a pretty decent run.
You've drawn my attention to that, so thank you. Okay, I'll kick us off with my third, Celtic Champion, that goes in the surprisingly televised race, the maiden race. I'm sure we all agree, chaps, would probably get Goodwood into less than 5 days if we wanted to. But Celtic Champion nevertheless goes for a televised maiden. The Andrew Balding horse impressed me no end on debut. Missed the kick, looked tall at sea. They think a lot about the winner Blue Light Bay. They've entered that well up this week and beyond. If you look Eminency, the second horse, that's come out and won and beat Chartwell House. The fourth horse, Royal Mariner, that was well beat, that come out and won a nursery, albeit and only off 60, but was sort of 6.5 lengths behind. And Celtic Champion, like I said, threw a lot away at the start. And really, at one stage, looked like he could possibly win the race, but obviously that missing the break at Windsor, not ideal, took its toll. And he looks really good on the numbers, and I can't really understand why he's such a big price, because the favourite, although Exceed and Excel run on good to soft ground on debut, Mischief Magic, I do feel I didn't really like that horse. I didn't like its sort of demeanour in the race very much, so I'm very keen to take that on. So 5-1 with 888, 3 fat ladies. Celtic Champion 5-1, 1 point win for me. That's my third best, and that's at Goodwood tomorrow 4:45. Quentin, to finish the round.
My third best bet comes in the 5:20 tomorrow, Lee. Obviously Goodwood. Horse in question is Tamarama. I thought it sounded like a dish that they would cook up on yours and John's uncle Rural Gourmet, but it's actually a place in Sydney.
I've not looked at them yet.
You got them.
I gave it a watch. It's not too shabby, to be fair.
Yeah.
The horse in question, I gave her a brief mention at Royal Ascot on the week. I thought she had outside squeak in the Sandringham. She ran poorly that day, 2-3, got no cover, and at the end of the day, she shaped like she was a miss. Kind of filed it in the too bad to be true pile. Bits and pieces of her form don't make her look badly handicapped off a marker 83. Excuse me. She made a move on handicap debut this season at Windsor from off the pace, ended up folding, shaped like needing a run. It was an inefficient move on the wrong part of the track. She was beaten by Mystic Wells that day, and then after the rain, they've both gone on to frank the form. The rip and run behind Minobi, steady pace. They still clocked a good time. He's rated 95, and then she went and won at Beverley and Ripon again. I still think there's upside from a mark of 83. Not too many I overly think are well handicapped in here, by probably the top two in the market. She's 22 to 1 in a few places. So I'm quite happy to have a dart, as she's got a low draw to work from as well. 1 point win, 22 to 1.
Yeah, I like this filly, Quentin. As you know, I love her Fav, and she won at 10 to 11 twice before the sort of bit of a disappointing last run, but I like her constitution. I think she was a filly going places before that last run, so I'm not going to knock that. 22s for Quentin then. Nice price. That's what we like. If you like Tamarama, definitely a filly with good constitution, does try the skid mark on board. Okay, yes, we'll go for round 2 then, and for our second best, and I'm going to come to you, Andy, for your second best.
Okay, it's again on Friday. I'm going back to the, and you should get a bit of value. Should get a bit of value for you watching this one, because it's in the old 2.5 miler. Be much better if they stuck a few hurdles up here. But I could just see that a bit of hurdling at Goodwood would be great fun, especially when they stick one down in the sort of dip or something. You should try it; it'd be really good fun. And I'm going to go with a horse who has plagued me all year. This is my lemming horse of the year. I'm probably going off a cliff with this horse called Solent Gateway, who I've been after all year. I think I first picked him up when he ran at Epsom. He ran 3rd of 9 back in April in the Great Metropolitan over 1.5 miles, and he just didn't get the run of that race. They then ran him in the Chester Cup, where he just pulled too damn hard. They then ran him back at Epsom on Derby Day, when he got absolutely mullered trying to go up the inside rail. And then he ran an absolutely belting race last time out in the Northumberland Plate behind Trushan, who may or may not run later, or may or may not have franked that form already. But he ran a really good race that day. I like the horse a lot. I'm hoping he'll stay this 2.5 miles. Since they've ridden him a little bit more forward, he's settled a little bit more. Stable of Hugo Palmer's got another one in the race called Zoffy, who's run as well, but I don't think he's as classy as Solent Gateway. And I'm going to stick with my old friend Solent Gateway in the 150 on Friday and have a point each way on him, because I'm not really sure. Again, I'm not really sure of the ground, but I'll try and I'm going to go for the each way wankering for all the 3 selections, and and hopefully they'll run on Friday as well. So I shall be having a each way treble as well, but I'll have a point each way on Solent Gateway in the 150 on Friday to carry on my cliff jumping with him.
Yeah, 8 to 1 available. I'm not sure on place terms. I've got the.
I think you probably only get 4 at the moment. You might get today, but I'd accept 4 now and swallow that. I'd take the 8s, take the 4 places, and
you get a quarter odds as well. So 8 to 1 a quarter. So
he's either going to win this or be out the back of the telly. But again, it's just a horse. I just think he's got a little about him, and it's just a question of him putting it all together. If he settles, he'll travel. I mean, if he settles, you can trade this horse because he travels like a dream.
Yep, good stuff, mate. So Solent Gateway, second best for Andy each way at 8 to 1. The Billy Mountains. Quentin, bouncing it straight back to you for your second best.
My second best comes in the Stewards Cup League on Saturday. I felt Summerhand was just running himself into form last time out, kept on into 5th in the Wokingham. He was on the right part of the track, but in the closing stages, he probably ended up a bit too far away from the favoured stand-side rail. Obviously, the rail played hot that day. He won the race in 2020 off a mark of £8 higher. Heavy ground didn't suit last time out. Jason Watson's already booked up, and it just smacks of a horse that's been lined up for a race he's already won. Lampang fresh, Mr. Wagyu have came out. Rohan obviously ran a stormer when Holly probably pressed a button too soon at Newbury. Looks a strong Wokingham this year. I'm happy to have my 2 points win on him at 16s.
That's a nice choice. Summergand. Yeah, John, that's one you like, isn't it, Summergand?
Yeah, it is. I think he's in the sort of shape where he can win one of these for sure.
Yeah, you've mentioned this one or 2 times to me this year. So interesting choice from Quentin. Nice price, 2 points at 16 to 1 for the big one on Saturday. Let's hope that that there's no biases involved.
Don't get on the right side there.
And random, you're good to firm, soft in places from the clerk. Well, come on, he's got 40 years of tradition.
Of course, there'll be a highlight for that, because we must have a draw for that, mustn't we? Where everybody sits there and draws their numbers out. Waste another half an hour. Pointless TV.
Absolutely. Right, it's coming on to my next best, the second best, and it's possibly a little bit boring, but I'm going to keep it on topic with our horses to follow. And as you know, we did a horses to follow at the start of the year and for the flat, and basically Eagles Way that runs on Friday in the 5:20 of Sir Mark Prescott's. I think will end up being a penalty kick, because Sir Mark's got Sea King in there. I can't see him running that if he's running, and he's already jocked up Thrasher Morris on the horse, so I can't see him running Sea King. A lot of the others have got double entries, and V-Site, for example, is running at Nottingham. That would have been a threat, so I can't see that running. There's one of Varians, I think Asase. I think that's got another race, not jocked up for this, but jocked up for another one. So I think it might end up being a bit of a nice race for Eagles Way, where he's clearly a lot better than his mark. He's going to win probably another couple, 2 or 3, you'd think, before they finally catch up with him. So, even if he's sort of 5-2, 11-4 on the day or something like that, I still think he'll be just different gear at this moment of his career. Plenty in hand, as we've seen so far. So Eagles Way, I'm keeping in tune with the horses to follow and backing him with confidence, I think, on Friday in the 5:20. So that's my 2-pointer. And prices obviously to be decided. John, I'm coming for your second best, please.
Second best, I'm desperately hoping the horse gets in. He's not forced to, but I really want to bet this if he does get in, and that is the aforementioned V-Site in the 150 at Goodwood on Thursday.
I think it's interesting they haven't jocked him up. He's had a few entries, and didn't you say he was their Derby horse or something? It would have been like 2 seasons ago. They thought it of a Derby horse or something, John.
Not this one. This is a 3-year-old gelding.
No. Like this was when he made his debut at Sandown.
Got you. Yeah. Sorry, I'm on the wrong. Yeah, I mean, what it was, it's also kept an eye on throughout, and it turned out they've done a marvellous job getting this handicapped, really, because when you look at the pedigree and what this mare's thrown out, you've got Scope, Garda, Glance, and Compton, all with 3-figure racing post ratings. Sightline 93, and this one, the only one time he's been off in his life, he managed to nut 87. He couldn't have 82 here if he gets in with Mrs. Marquand boat. I think this is an absolute penalty kick if this horse gets in. He's a must bet when he runs.
Yeah, I agree, John. Totally agree. Mm-hmm. He's also jocked up at Nottingham. He's like I said, plenty of entries. That's why I went for Eagles Way in mind.
Yeah, I think they want this myself, and if they get in, I think this is where they'll go. I mean, either way, wherever he turns up this week, I think he wants betting.
Oh, you're right, 100%. The way he won at Sandown, he just looked different, different parish.
Yeah, he's just got oodles in hand. I mean, he's going to rate 100, isn't he?
Yeah, I reckon they've jocked. I reckon if you don't get in a good one, because I think probably getting in. Obviously, he's I think he's number 26 on the list of a maximum field of 18. So maybe they've thought, well, if you don't get in that race, that race of good one, we'll go to Nottingham. So but I mean, so basically, what we're saying is to punters, obviously, if any anti-purse prices don't come out, don't take them. Just make sure he's entered and then take the price if he gets in.
Just weighed in of what you want them.
Yeah, please. I agree. I totally agree. I mean, I wouldn't bet Eagles Way against him if he ran against Eagles Way on the the day after. So that's a proviso, obviously, for people that if you're following what I've said, then I wouldn't bet Eagles way against V-side. I'd probably have
I think
to.
if you don't get in this, I think you'll go to Nottingham. But
looks that way on jockey.
I don't think they'll be desperately keen to get in this myself.
Yeah, no, it's a good. So it's 150 Thursday for John. That's the race he thinks. That's what I mean. So it's 2 points win if it's declared to enter. Right. Okay.
2 points. Yes.
Yeah. So it's 2 points on the noggin. Yes.
Bosh.
Yeah. Bosh. Bish bash bosh. Quentin, I'm coming to you for your trois points, please.
My trois points, Lee. I'm going to stick with kind of your method and stay with the horses to follow list. Best bet of the meeting comes in the opener on Wednesday. It is, which is 150. Horse in question is a Sulcombe. It was number 5.
There's some noises here. This is like Alan Partridge. Anyway.
I'll be sat there watching a porno, couldn't we?
Oh, fucking hell.
Another I'm still laughing at the German accent. You mentioned raspberry ripple.
The old Turkish card.
At that point, I was gone.
The stigma they used to do with us. Anyway. Go on, Quentin. Hit us
right. Third best bet, Sulcombe, comes in the opener at obviously Goodwood on Wednesday, 13.50. Stuck with the horses to follow, like yourself, Lee. I feel it's a safe route to go given the success of it so far this season.
Yep.
During the horses to follow podcast, I kind of had him down as potential for better than a handicapper. That was after a kind of promising debut to my eye, not so much to other people's. He put in 2 underwhelming performances this season at the start of 2022. Got the chop, knackers off, blinkers on, and rocked up to Haydock end of June off a mark of 68. He made mincemeat of that, beating a well-treated horse in Hilts that still has scope from his mark. Went to Ascot, 8th of July, beat Temerus Fox, who reopposes here. I had a nagging doubt going into the race about genuine fast ground, given the way he moves, but he managed to run that rival down with consummate amount of ease. Quick closing sectionals to run down one that had the run of the race and had a good £5 claimer on as well. It doesn't look a deepest of races. You've got the favourite in there, had the perfect trip at Ascot. That's gone up in the weight, so I don't particularly like the form despite the winner that day going on to win a Group 3. It just doesn't look a deep competitive field. The Kilt's got a couple in. I don't think they're overly well handicapped. I've kind of revised my view of him from group horse to 90 sort of horse. He's off a mark in the low 80s here, 81. Kieran Fallon's on because Mark 1 can't do the weight. 3 points win, 11-2.
Love it. I'm going to bet that. It's 6-1 with Sky Bet.
Even better. Lovely jubbly.
Yep. 3 points at sixes. 11-2 for Scroats that haven't got Sky Bet's accounts, so that's 98% of us. Anyway, there we go. It's just facts and figures. So great start to the round from Quentin. So I'm going to come to John now. John, your best.
My best is on Friday in the 150. And this is Dr. Newland's Bassam.
Ooh.
This is also, I always kept sort of half an eye on when Burroughs had him. And he went to sales in October 20. And he was purchased for 40,000 guineas. And then there's been an abject lesson in patience from Dr. Newland, waiting 576 days before we give him a spin up in a novice hurdle at Aintree over 2 miles, an extended 2, where he had obviously been showing a bit of his old pizzazz back at home because he went off at 11-4. He's running off £10 lower than his latest flat mark. He's always looked the type to me that would have a race of this nature in him at an extreme trip. I'm delighted they've entered him in this race at this distance. I think fresh will be the time to catch him. And I think this stinks as far as the quality of a race goes. I think the opposition's very thin. You couldn't have found a better contest for him. 3 points win.
Bang. No wankering, nothing. No, just no. Absolute on the nut. 3 points. 25 to 1 a pony, John.
Yeah.
Oof. Has Dr. Newland got rid of the herpes? There was equine herpes in the yard a bit ago, weren't there?
Dr. Newland can cure anything.
And for all punters that listen to this show and any other show, he's the real good doctor. We know the bad doctor is in racing. This is the good doctor. Bassam, very interesting left field selection from John in the Stain handicap. Interesting. Andy Richmond, coming to you for your very best.
Right, I'm going to stay loyal to one of my old friends, Jimi Hendrix. Not the guitarist. I'm hoping that they don't. I think it would be a miracle if he was running. I'm hoping they don't run him in the runs into the horse you were just talking about, B side. What have I done with that bit of paper? There it is.
Yeah, it's 150 on Thursday.
Yeah, I don't really want him to run it. If he does run in that, I'd still bet him. I really want him to run in the Golden Mile on Friday. I think he did really well last time out to win against the pace bias, and he got a bit of a bump last time out on the gas pit of the July course at Newmarket. He's been terribly consistent all year, ran a brilliant race to be third in the Britannia. I think that's pretty strong form this year. I like 3-year-olds in this Golden Mile. Hopefully, with the cutaway coming down on Friday, he will get a decent low draw, but we are in the lap of the gods with that one. But I will stay loyal to Jimmy wherever he runs. I think he's probably better over a mile than a mile 2 in that race on Thursday, where he runs against his own sex. I'd rather back him on Friday, to be honest with you. In fact, I'm going to say if he doesn't, I wouldn't back him on the Thursday race. I want him to run on Friday in the Golden Mile, 1.5 points each way, and I think William Hill are going a ridiculous 12 to 1. An absolute standout. If you can get on.
Yeah. So obviously it depends on the race in question. So the Golden Mile or the Kinsem handicap.
Yeah.
Over 10 on the Thursday. Are we each weighing, sir?
I am. Yeah, I'm afraid so. I'm going to bottle out of all these. Because I don't trust the ground there, and B, I don't trust the draw at Goodwood.
No, we'll come on to that in a minute. But yeah, so Jimi Hendrix, I'm gonna put Provisio for punters. So yeah. Andy's recommending to be 1.5 points each way. I would wait for the entries. I wouldn't dive in.
No.
Prices. I'd wait and then.
I think he's actually capable of being better than a handicapper, this horse.
Yeah, he knocked my duck off last time. Obviously, yeah. I was pleased for you in the show. Really, obviously, I had gone Positive Impact. You went Jimi Hendrix. Positive Impact had the run of the race, and Jimi Hendrix did amazing to sort of get up. Obviously, much the best. So yeah, I know where you're coming from. I think there's a lot more to come from him.
Yeah.
So good choice. Okay, I will round up the action of maximums, and it's a klaxon. It's klaxon time. I'm going with Solcombe, for the very same reasons Quentin. This horse, I think, is 90. Yes, 90 to 95. It's ridiculously well handicapped still. It is a handicap snip. I envisage it winning the race as long as it gets a clean trip. I've got no problems with it beating the opposition whatsoever, because you take the favourite, the Ascot, up £7 of Godolphins. That's not. It's a good horse. I'm not knocking it. It's good strong form, but I'm saying that it hasn't got the weapons and the amount of armoury and pounds in hand that Solcombe's got. And the only thing that gets him beat is sometimes, he does come off it a little bit, when the pace quickens and what Goodwood's like for gaps and things. But Solcombe, 3 points win, 6-1, same as Quentin. It is a bar, Stewart. Goodwood, Claxon. Thank you very much. Right, so that's the bets. We've sorted the bets out. And so let's come on to the next part of the show, and we'll sort of try and help punters for the variances of Goodwood. And Andy, you've learnt me something today, because I didn't know this. Talk to me about the cutaway this week.
Right. So the rail, I can recommend the Turf Track site for this, but I did find this out before then and had it confirmed on there. If you go and put Turf Tracks in, they've got a visual explanation of all the stuff on there, including how much evapotranspiration, which is Clark speak for how much has come out of the ground and how much I can then slosh on to try and get it back to the goodness I'm trying to produce.
Explain to John what's it called again, Andy?
Evapotranspiration. It's now Clark speak, isn't it? It's the moisture that's come out of the ground and that they are just seeking to replace. So it's come out this year. They're all using it. Prosser, Cooper.
I tell you what, the first one that uses it within range of a straight right will be getting one.
Well, yeah. I'm sure you'll hear it this week from Mr. Arkle. Evapotranspiration. Clark speak for all that lovely moisture that comes out of the ground, so that they can then go and slosh some more water on it. Well done to Angus McNay on RTV today for pushing Mr. Arkle on how much he was putting on. And it was 8 millimetres, because, as was pointed out by a couple of people today on Twitter, Mr. Calvin and Mr. Channing, that was we're water. How many courses now say we're watering, but don't tell you how much we're bleeding putting on? Thanks very much for that, lads. It's not a state secret. It would be nice to know. But the other thing that you should be aware of this week is that there are false rails that are in place on the top and bottom bends on the straight to the 2 furlong marker. So that would leave a cutaway for Tuesday and Wednesday, which will spread the runners out to the middle of the track. The cutaway will then move back to 3.5 furlongs on Thursday. And then on Friday and Saturday, all the false rails will be taken down. So just remember, on Friday and Saturday, there will be a fresh strip of ground against that far rail, which they won't have raced on, which could have implications not only for the round track races, but also for the Stewards' Cup and the Stewards' Cup consolation race, where they'll be right across the track.
Carnage.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to sit on the fence on this, because you kind of look a fool if you try and predict what might happen. But as we know with cutaways, for punters that normally say play the 7 furlong races on the first couple of days, in terms of what we've got, I think the Lennox we've got, and we've got the Richmond of the Vintage. We've got the 7 furlong handicap, and normally this is like predominantly low drawn horses, because Goodwood big bias over the 7. But what are we thinking, chaps, in terms of draw for the 7 furlong course? The cutaway is going to help the wider drawn horses.
It should help those drawn wide. It should.
That's interesting, because I drew a line through, before knowing this, I drew a line through Heredia, that won at Ascot, and disappointed at Sandown when favourite. Sandown was never going to suit her, I didn't think, the way the race that was likely to be run. And then I think she's a very, very wide draw. She's been drawn in her race, and I was thinking, well, gee, that's that. But that puts a different light on it if there is a cutaway. So it's good to know this, because if you do listen to this show, I didn't even bother to look for this. So it's a case of when you've got many ears to the ground, it's sometimes better than than your own. So thanks for Andy for pointing that out.
No problem.
So the going then. We're looking at like the ghost of Seamus here. 40 years of tradition to keep up with. Is he going to put too much on to make sure Trushan runs?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Unanimous. We're unanimous on that. So it shows you then that like we've seen before, Clark's will engineer ground just to get the best race possible, and I think it's wrong. I think it's wholly wrong. It's unfair on connections really of other horses. Say if you want it rattling quick on the first day anyway, because we know the first day will be the worst one in terms of, because it has to be, because you'll have put plenty on, and so for Trushan to run, then there's got to be plenty on. It's got to be safe, good ground. It can't be good to firm. So
I thought it was quite funny that it was John Godson's normally the biggest like orchestrator of a whole safe ground, and like when he wants a horse not to run on rattling fast ground, he came out, I think it was over the weekend, and said, I hope they just have good fast ground and don't overwater this time. So he's kind of getting a bit of his own medicine if Trushan does run.
Just straight in, isn't he?
Well, exactly. I mean, Gosden. I thought it was embarrassing when he withdrew Stradivarius at this meeting. He was claiming that there was surface water on the track, which I can believe from the Clarks at Goodwood. But still, it didn't ride.
You can believe there was surface water in the owners and trainers bar at fucking Goodwood.
Yeah, it's certainly lush enough, and to be honest, I journeyed down here today. The grass is yellow nearly everywhere, but obviously Goodwood won't be. So it'd be interesting tomorrow. But I wouldn't be looking for necessarily fast ground bets for the first couple of days anyway. If I were a punter, I'd be sort of thinking just good ground. I think you'd be fine, but I don't think if you're an Exceed and Excel or you're wanting something ridiculously quick, I don't think you're going to get it. That's my personal view. Let's see if that plays out.
Excel stop at home.
Yeah. So okay, we'll go on to rather than just go through races willy-nilly like the big races, and I felt it'd be better this show to go to each sort of contributor and anything you've got of any interest for the rest of the meeting. Speak up, because I'd rather have your best thoughts than sort of like, how far will Baid win, which is it's just like boring, isn't it? John, I'm coming to you first. Can you tell me your best thoughts for the meet, or any other thought, or something that you've got cooking in the pot?
I wouldn't say anything cooking in the pot, to be I don't think Kinross is interested on likely overwater ground in the Lennox. This ran better than first appeared at Ascot behind the Oval Crown. A little bit like Alcohol Free did. Was in a similar sort of position. I thought he was running in a bit of soap compared to the others. It was obviously it's paid dividends to follow those that have been running in the soap. And I'd confidently expect this one to run a very nice race on. It's the 26th. It's tomorrow, isn't it, the Lennox?
Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah, 3 o'clock.
I think Sacred's a very short price here, because I wasn't overly impressed with the comeback run. I thought she had every chance, and she was hard to sit. And she's an Exceed and Excel, which...
Yeah, it's American, all Americano.
I don't really fancy her on loose stuff with the Clemmies flying at 15:08. When you look at the betting, you've got that one at 15:08. You've got the wretched Charlie Hills at 11:2.
The wretched. Pogo's in savage form, John. Savage.
And then you've got Lucille, who contrives to get beaten wherever he goes. It doesn't really matter what they do with him, he gets beaten. legendary Pat Dobbs ride at Ascot, obviously, and then managed to get it beat at Deauville as well. You know, he just gets beat and beat and beat. So, yeah, Kinross, I think he's a sort of default bet, if you like, really. He'll go on the ground. He does win occasionally. And it's Rafe and Ralph on the comeback trail after Saturday's debacle.
Yeah, he's high class. He's Kinross. Absolutely. And any juice in the ground, Kinross will. He should be right up there in the bay.
He got beat 2.25 in a proper sprint last time on the ground. You know, he's got his ground there. He's a caution distance winner. What's not to like at 6s?
Yeah. I'll come to Andy, Quentin. Any views on the Lennox?
I quite like Kinross.
Yeah. No, I think so. That's three.
A strong opinion on, but I think Rafe and Ralph, Kinross. Yeah,
that's three of us then.
Yeah,
Quentin.
Make that 4. Kinross. I'll probably have a saver on Varian's Finn Lanacash. Form was franked. That Chester at the weekend, but no, Kinross the main play, and for all the reasons mentioned above, slightly overwatered, ground will suit, won't suit the jolly. Yeah, I quite like him at the prices tomorrow.
Good stuff, John. Right, I'll come back to you again. So you've sorted the Lennox for us. Anything else?
Risk of repeating what Quentin was saying, I rather like Summer Gam in the Stewards Cup as well.
Yeah, I know. It's one you've always harped on to me about all year.
I think said, fit,
Yeah, I agree. I could see a peak performance Saturday. Definitely on what I've seen also. So I like Quentin's reasoning, and it's a previous winner. Like you say, you're probably just waiting on the draw. Hopefully that he'll get a good draw. But apart from that, yeah, what's not to like?
Absolutely. Another one I would mention this week. Not that it's running at Goodwood. 6:50 Sandown on Wednesday. 8:02 as its second run. This is the one I flagged up at Ascot on.
It's the Alan King horse, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the one.
Oh yeah, I ain't told you this, John. And Andy sent me a great stat.
Yeah.
On Alan King second time out. Andy, tell him because I forgot, but it was great.
It's his second. It's 2-year-olds. Yeah, 2-year-old second time out from Alan King's yard. He's got a very, very good record. It's actually 13 from 95, which is only a 13% straight rate. The wax is 3.31, but he's had some big price winners, so they don't always crop up. But he has actually got quite a good record with his second time out 2-year-olds. They often run well and get in the frame. I tend to have a look at them. He's got two. He's actually got another one in the same race, Hourless, in the same race as 2:8.
They ran in the same race on debut, didn't they?
Yeah, I think they did actually. Yeah, I think you're quite right there.
Oh,
yeah,
look at the jockeys. You've got Martin Harley.
Yeah.
And Bin Man's brother, Liam Canary. Yeah. I mean, geez. I mean,
they rode them on debut.
Did they? Same as.
Yeah, so he's leaving the jockey arrangements as they were.
Yeah.
But bear in mind, Hourless was 28-1. 2:08 was 80-1.
And a dirty time test for Hourless as well. Dirty time test. Dirty. It's a swear word in the breeding world. This time test. It was on Sunday. Anyway.
I mean, as I said, I just thought I'd point out that he's running and will merit attention, shall we say?
Yeah, don't miss these. John's pretty shit hot with these. Whether who knows whether it's going to be off, but it's one of them. If like with Andy's sort of stats, they might not be that bothered of going for marks. You don't know what the long term plan is with them. That's it. It might be just win a maiden and we'll crack on. Who knows? So good stuff, John. Anything else?
They tend to be pretty big prices as well. So
yeah, exactly.
You only need to crack one. I was going to say crack one off there, but that's
Yeah.
Oh dear. Oh, Jesus.
That's for later, Andy. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it all depends. But listen, I won't put anyone off a few shekels on that. I liked it on debut. John obviously mentioned it, and I watched it. So 8:02.
It was a proper chunker. I mean, it was as fat as butter. But I mean, they've had four pieces of work since then. I would have thought, and that should be enough to see it past Hannon's horse. I think that was third in the race, possibly.
Yeah, Starnenberg.
Yeah, he should overhaul that one really. We've got 4 bits of work under his belt, I would have thought. So yeah, hugely interesting this week. May not be off, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, good stuff. So look out for that. Anything else, John?
No, that's about all I've got worth mentioning, I think.
Okay, we're going to move straight on then to Quentin. Any other great thoughts you've got for the remainder of this week?
Yeah, great thoughts. I'll say I'm kind of against Holloway Road. Does, like John said, doesn't really move like one that would want watered ground. Very fluent mover, good looker. I think Ascot's more his track rather than Goodwood. Not really sure what to play against it, but the time was fine, but the form is ropey. I'm kind of erring towards the caution and saying it's not going to be as good as he showed there. In the novice, I'm pretty keen on Celtic Champion as well. Big figure, as you pointed out, Lee, form strong. Easier ground will probably suit being by a day. I'll probably have a little saver on the Paul and Oliver Cole horse. Don't think he stayed on debut. He's the owner mate as well. Don't think he stayed on debut after showing bright pace and then was just green under pressure. Drop back to 6 should suit that. Wednesday's a quiet day. Maybe Dicky Bird at a large place price. In the Moulcombe, I think they've put him in a 50 to 1 rag. A few in there that I don't particularly like. Looking for Linda, Thundermore, Studio City. I can see him outrunning his odds. He bombed for his debut. Bombed for a race at Newcastle, traded 4 or 2s on and faded, and then went to Chester, showed pace and won. So that was the first 2 days.
Interesting with Dicky Bird that obviously we don't know if Mrs. Wendy Bird really owned it, but Nick Bradley's obviously bought it after the Chester win as well.
Yeah, time looked good. I had him in the notes, and he was drawn wide, and I thought, does he have a hole in it, or ended up leaving it alone, and obviously goes and wins at 40 odd to 1, so unbacked naturally. Nassau, Gordon don't particularly like. Richmond Stakes, see what turns up. The Nursery, Sunningdale was the one that interested me in the Nursery. I think 79's light, ended up going Chesham second start. Paul and Oliver Cole have a good record in the race. Caught further back than ideal and on the wing at Newbury. Next start, 79, he's got scope to progress from that. Friday, where the fuck's it gone? Friday will probably give Remarkable false a chance in the 6th furlong Nursery. One last chance. Beat Eddie's Boy at Musselburgh. That's obviously gone on to Frank the form. I think 90's light, but it is pretty much last chance saloon. I think there'll be a price on that. And then on Saturday in the novice that opens the card, the Foxes obviously underperformed. I fancied it. John fancied it in the Chesham. Good physical. 42 days off should have helped him out from that standpoint.
Yeah, a bit of carrots.
Yeah. Your horse, Loyal Touch, that ran at Salisbury, is also in that race. Really like that. My notes did well under the circumstances. Not the first horse this season to knock the eye out looks-wise from the owner-trainer combo. Made an inefficient move, ran green, did well to sustain his run, like him and the race as a whole. And then there's a Johnston newcomer that I'm got one eye on in the Fillies novice on Thursday even. Zaga's the stout horse. I think that's going to be over bet. Didn't like the head carriage at the end of the Kempton race. Winretta, this is the last race on Thursday, sorry. Winretta, stamina on the dam side, is balding horse. I don't mind that. Didn't mind it as a physical on debut. The Johnston horse in question was Miss Dynamic. They've had 2 cracksmans to date the yard. They both ran well. Cracovia finished 3rd on debut by a neck, and then that Dance in the Grass one first time out at Sandown. So I feel they've got the key to them. This Miss Dynamic, half brother to King's Prince and Al Jazeera, who won first time out on debut also. So there's a few bits and pieces for.
And they've gone for Buick, haven't they? They've gone for Buick. Interesting. So that's in the 5:20 on the Thursday, the race Quentin's talking about there, the filly's maiden. So yeah, a kilt newcomer, John.
Can't go far wrong following the kilt at Goodwood, can you? That's what the kilt tells you.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Quentin. Great rundown. Andy, coming to you.
Yeah, just a few bits and pieces. The sprint tomorrow, the 4:10, couple in there, Lord Ridderford, certainly of interest. I think he did win this race last year, so he's certainly of interest. Along with another one called Embor, who's on a very, very good mark now. I'm not sure he's good enough to win this, but keep an eye on him. I'm not completely convinced about the draw that he's got tomorrow, but he's certainly starting to get very well handicapped now. But Lord Ridderford won it last year. John Quinn's won it twice in the last 5 years. Stable's in very good form at the moment. I think he can. I think he certainly on my shortlist for that race tomorrow. Might have a little dibble at Embor as well. Row along with you guys with Solcombe in the 150 on Wednesday. And then the 4:10 on Wednesday. I think the shirt's got quite an interesting one in that filly's handicap called C Speedwell. Usually a race won by 3-year-olds, but she's only had 3 runs in her life. I thought she was very, very interesting. Certainly be with her. And the closing race, the World Pool Handicap. Richard Hallen's got a good record in that. He's won 3 of the last 4 renewals of that. He won it with Magical Wish last year. He's got 2 entered, Mum's Tipple and Windseeker. Mum's Tipple, as you know, is very well handicapped on that one piece of form from York several years ago now. But still looks as though the fire burned bright last time out. And Windseeker didn't really get the run of the race last time out. I didn't like the tactics last time out, but I'd certainly give him another chance if he gets a decent draw in that. Moving on to Thursday, wasn't an awful lot that I could see there. Or Friday, I've covered off really with the sort of best bets. And Saturday in the Stewards Cup, I quite like First Folio. Thought he's run well this year. Certainly ran a good race first time out when he was 5th of 19 at Newmarket. Then he was 2nd in a Windsor listed race where, again, it was that sort of race where he needs that pace that big handicaps generate. And he ran well last time out. He was 6th last time out in the Wokingham, which, as we've remarked, is a good piece of form. 6th of 26 last time out, ridden by Danny Muscat. I think he might well go close. He did blow out in the Stewards Cup last year, but that was on heavy ground, which didn't suit. I don't think it's put it down to the track, and I'd certainly be interested in him if the draw is okay.
You've done well there because you've managed. It's amazing, isn't it? Good judges here. Out of the bets I was going to mention, like alternative ones, you've mentioned 2 of them. Right. One was Embor in the 4:10 on the first day.
Yeah, he's really well handicapped now.
He is, and he showed plenty enough for me at Cathryn to say he's.
Yeah, that race. But
yeah,
the other one I thought was interesting. I know everyone's. This happens when you get hooked into races. Everyone will be talking about the Goodwood Cup with the sort of making it into a head-to-head or a 3-pronged race. Don't leave out Coltrane. He's quietly improving this horse.
Indeed.
I think he could cause a little bit of an upset. I certainly wouldn't be writing him off.
Indeed, he's the one that I think can be the principal threat to the new potential staying king.
I like Cyprios a lot, and obviously I backed him at Royal Ascot this year. But I do think Coltrane is a really improving horse.
I agree with you, Andy. Totally, absolutely, 100% concur with that. And the other horse you mentioned was First Folio in the Stewards Cup.
Yeah.
I do like Quentin's selection, and I know John's been telling me about some again most of this season. But First Folio, I watched at Ascot closely and felt that he, a bit like Fresh, that didn't get the run of the race, and that came out and won from the draw kind of thing. First Folio was very similar, and I think if you're just going on that logic alone.
If you look at the form of that Wokingham, Rohan.
It's strong.
We obviously made up ground too quickly in that race at the Hackwood, wasn't it, at Newbury? Yeah. Popmaster was 2nd, hasn't run yet. Jumbie, I thought, ran a good race on Saturday from the wrong side. Mentioning that on Saturday, I've never ever seen such a big discrepancy on a going stick and the race just not work out really, because you thought everything was going to come screaming down that stand side, where there was 0.5 difference in the going stick readings, and there was one down the centre. Like, couldn't work that out at all. But that form, Mr. Wagyu obviously went to Ireland and won. Who was the fourth there? Summergan was fifth, and First Folio was sixth. Fresh was ninth. He's come out and won since. Lampang, the 10th, has come out and won since. Silver Samurai ran a real mule of a race on Saturday at York, didn't he? Although he did run the last 3 furlongs was the fastest of anything in that race, but he's just a bit of a mule, isn't he?
It was quite funny what he did.
He does what he wants, I think, is the answer. I thought he'd lost that side of him. So that form is strong. So First Folio, James Ferguson, Danny Muscat. I think he's got a reasonable chance in that Stewards Cup.
I think we've got the two there. I mean, obviously draw's going to play a part, but I think on the book, and that's all we can look at this stage, I think we've uncovered the best two. I think Summergand and First Folio, I think they're the two to concentrate on. I really do. I can't really see why they aren't shorter in the betting. The other one, also, I've already sort of mentioned it really, but it was only since that Andy told me about the cutaway that Heredia of Richard Hannon. I was against it last time at Sandown because you know the straight course at Ascot a lot different to the round course at Sandown, and Heredia just she, pulled hard. There was not much pace on. You can completely draw a line under the last run. So I think with the wide draw as well, I think the market might also be dismissing Heredia. On the Wednesday.
It'll be really interesting to see what happens with that cutaway in and
it will on Tuesday.
See if the wide draws come back. Just got one quick. I know everyone loves a trendy stat. The 150 tomorrow, the first race, the 10 furlong handicap. There's been no winner of that 10 furlong handicap over the age of 5 for over 18 years, which would be rather against I think he's about third favourite Caradoc. The 4-year-olds, on the other hand, are attempting to win this race for the 8th time in 12 years.
Interesting. So you need age on your side in that. That might be like a good whiskey maturing with age, and then along comes Caradoc. He's been unlucky this year. And then to defy the age stats. That's been a cracking show, chaps. I've really enjoyed it. Some really good opinion, some brilliant insight. And I hope our listeners enjoy the same also. We're back on Friday.
Before we pack in, mate.
Sure.
Have you got a suitable haggis shirt for the Baid Day?
I have. The producer has sourced me a tremendous shirt, which of course I shall put on the social media feed.
Are we going to see a photo with you in the shirt with the shirt?
That can. I'm wondering if that can be done. I'll be on. I'll go and I'll see if I can stalk him.
You could photobomb him.
Yeah, I think that could be great for the.
I think in the shirt with the shirt could be epic.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as there's no shagging.
Sourced by the producer, so I'm very pleased. So it should be a great day on the Wednesday. I'm there Tuesday and Wednesday, and then back to base towards the weekend as we trudge back up north. Anyway, yeah, it's I'm an alien down here. Anyway, so we hope you've enjoyed the show. We're back on Friday with the normal Saturday preview show and the normal sermon on Sunday. Brought to you tonight by Andy Richmond, Quentin Franks, John Lang, and myself, Lee Key, signing off. Bye for now.